Sometimes young people say things like, "But I don't have anything to be thankful for." Well, I can't tell you all the things you have to be grateful for. I can tell you, unthankfulness is dangerous. And in this video, I'm going to try to explain why. I'm Pastor Mike, and this channel is called Scripture That Makes a Difference because I believe Scripture's made a difference in my life, and I think it can make a difference in yours as well. So each video in this channel aims to show how each passage we look at makes a difference today. And if this is your first time here, you can learn more about this channel in the description below. And if you find you like hearing how specific passages make a difference in our lives today, just click the subscribe button and you'll get more. And stick around to the end and hear some of the things all believers can be thankful for. I'm not the first one to be concerned with the human tendency to be ungrateful. Moses was also concerned that the coming prosperity the children of Israel would find when they entered the Promised Land would trigger unthankfulness. In the first chapters of Deuteronomy, Moses is amplifying the meaning of the Decalogue. That's the academic word for the Ten Commandments. He's talking to the generation after those who left Egypt, those who had heard the voice of God give the Ten Commandments as the moral law of the nation. He repeated the commandments in chapter 5 and has been expounding on them ever since. In chapter 8, Moses gives the people two alternatives. First, remember what God has done for them and for their ancestors. That it's Him who protects and provides. Or they could choose the second alternative. They could forget that it was God who gave those blessings and begin to assume that it was by their own power and intelligence that they've had success. If they chose the first, Moses promised God would continue to provide and protect. But if they chose the second, God would remove His protection and provision, and they would surely perish. This is sobering truth, but it's not the end of the story. Generations later, Paul the Apostle would address some anxieties common to the first century. After talking about a conflict between two members of the Philippian church, potentially over some perceived rights violation, he encouraged reasonableness, or as the Good News Translation says it, show a gentle attitude towards everyone. And as if to address the frustration that might raise in some of those who live in the harsh reality of a fallen world, where one must work hard and fight for the necessities and possibly the luxuries of life, he adds Philippians 4:6. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. Paul is encouraging prayer as an antidote to anxiety in life. But he cautions not to over-focus on the issues, but to remember that in prayer we recognize it's God who provides. In fact, the Greek word for prayer in this verse specifically addresses a deity. You couldn't use this word like maybe Shakespeare would, where he might say, "Pray, grant me favor," meaning I request that you grant me favor. This word was limited to a conversation with a God. Paul also says that prayer includes supplication. That's the part where we ask for stuff. That's the part that comes naturally. But don't forget the third aspect of prayer that Paul teaches, with thanksgiving. One wonders if he had Moses' address in mind. We must acknowledge the good things that God has already provided. We must acknowledge that He's granted both temporal and eternal blessings. He's provided the necessities of our life. He's accepted us into His kingdom. And He's granted us the significance of being called sons of God. And He's added to that significance the ability and opportunity to contribute to what He's doing every day on into eternity. It's only when we remember the value of thanksgiving that we receive the peace that passes understanding that Paul promises in verse 7. And any scripture that teaches us how to achieve that level of peace is scripture that makes a difference. So this is something we can think about this Thanksgiving season. And you can leave comments and questions about this topic below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'll try to answer your questions as quickly as possible, and you can always make suggestions about future content if you have a passage in mind. If you've gained any value by watching this video, please click the thumbs up button. And if you like hearing how specific passages can make a difference today, click the subscribe button. And don't forget to click the bell so that you'll be the first to know when I've released new episodes. And please help us get the difference-making message of Scripture to others by sharing this video on your favorite social media. And if you ever visit Enid, Oklahoma, or you happen to live nearby, please come by and visit us. Our address is on our Facebook page. I've left a link to that below. Our services take place at 10 in the morning, and this Sunday I'll explain why living a thankful life is the same as living a contented life. And until next time, remember this Thanksgiving that giving thanks leads to peace in many ways.